steering wheel. Lapse the steering wheel, yeah. Give him steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on! Whoa!
Your leg, my please. Your leg hip.
How the f*** that's possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? Proper radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now, come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track. Down that interstate.
I am so annoyed.
Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside Depart From May for podcast number 986. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
A.K. Negative Camera. You know why I've asked you
You
here.
must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
I mean, come on. I am. Nothing to fear here. Hey, tonight, for your kind consideration, we're going to cover what news there was to cover this week. You know, it's slim pickings, you know, not a lot to choose from, but what we do have was kind of big news. We'll get into that. Before getting into that, though, I have to introduce my my long-suffering co-host all the way over on the right coast of our nation, nestled near our nation's capital. You know her, you love her, the lovely, the redoubtable. Grace, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Todd. Yeah, you're right. We had like one big news story and some other stuff.
Yeah. And one of and I'm just going to tell you, well, what are we, well, obviously we're going to cover Lambiase's confirmed McLaren move tonight.
Yeah.
Going to talk about that. Going to talk about the FIA Crisis Summit on April 9th. We'll talk about that. What actually happened and the countdown to April 20th. What's that all about? Then we're going to talk about Red Bull's technical crisis. You know, the Wache question. And the car is getting worse, not better. So we're going to talk about that. Also, I took some well thought out, meaningful people who dislike Max Verstappen very much. I took a few of those instant messages and DMs, and so I think it's fair to address that again. So we're going to talk about Verstappen at a crossroads.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about how F1's going GT racing. How about that?
There you go.
So that's exciting. That's what we're going to talk about
Just
tonight.
Just two.
Oh, two.
Just two.
But
That
it's
makes it sound like
opening up-
everybody's going. It's just
opening
two.
up a wonderful world of magic.
I mean, I think that would be fine. It could be like the 60s again, you know, right? Like Mario Andretti ran the 60s and 70s. They ran everything, whatever.
Yeah. It's like the guy behind me. Well, you guys can't see at the microphone. It's like Jim Clark and Cortinas, right?
Right, run it all. So,
right.
Yeah, right on them. Do
Why
what you
not?
want.
That's right. Do what you want. So we're going to talk about, let's start at the top. Look, GP. Jim, do you speak Italian? Can you fake an Italian accent very well?
No. I can barely fake an American accent.
Yeah. So most of the world refers to him as GP.
That's right.
He is confirmed to McLaren. So April 9th, both Red Bull and McLaren issue a formal statement. That's what is confirmed. Lambiase will leave Red Bull when his contract expires at the end of 2027, which we'll see if he makes it to 2027 or if they don't just usher him out for garden leave. I don't know.
I love that it was, when McLaren dropped the announcement, it was like sometime before 2028. Why are you telling me now? This is like did Lewis Hamilton start something? Why are you telling me now?
Exactly. And you thought the announcement was really premature on Lewis Hamilton. Well, good heavens!
I'm sure everybody would just like, I don't know. So that's what really makes me wonder is why did McLaren feel the need to get out ahead of this? I don't know.
Right. It's a really good point, and I don't know. I don't know. It's just a long time. Normally you'll see these people, on gardening leave and all that kind of stuff. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, I don't know that I'd want GP, the mastermind that he is, sniffing around my Red Bull operation for a year and a half.
No, but sure not. But I mean, it's always possible. I mean, just like
it
the
is,
drivers,
he's
right?
Tied to Max. He's tied to Max, right?
I don't know. That's what everybody said about Lewis and Bono. I don't know that it's,
Yeah, true.
I think we can all live, they're professionals. And I don't mean that to undermine the relationship between the race engineer and the driver, but they've also been married to other engineers, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They'll manage. It'll be okay. It's not as if Max Verstappen can't operate if he doesn't have GP But, they kind of said the same things about Bono and Lewis. And guess what? Everybody's moved on and they're just fine.
Yeah. Well, he joins McLaren as chief racing officer, reporting to Andrea Stella. There was some talk that he turned down Aston Martin's offer to become their team principal. McLaren's announcement. Yeah.
Who wouldn't? I turned that position down.
It's like, Lawrence is calling me.
Yeah, he might as well be asking me to move or take him to the airport. I'm not taking that job. Who's taking that job?
Team boss of Aston Martin. Yeah, sign me up.
I mean, yeah. I mean, do you not watch Drive to Survive? Why would you take that job?
You got 15 minutes. Okay.
I mean, he's on his 7th team principal. Why would you? He's only been in the sport for 5 years, right?
I don't know. That would be difficult.
He turned it down. There's not enough money. Not enough.
No, right. And then your team McLaren, their announcement specifically name-checked Marshall and Courtney as evidence of their ability to attract top Red Bull talent. Feels like a deliberate poke.
Who do I have? Oh, that's from your team? They're from your team? Oh, wait, they're also from your team.
Right.
Who else did I get from your team?
Who else?
That's right.
Right.
Zach Brown. That guy.
Yeah, he's a piece of work, isn't he?
Don't sleep on that Zach Brown, man. Don't let that the jolly fun guy. It's a cruel killer in there.
He is. He's like James T. Kirk. You got to get up awful early in the morning to get one by on Zach Brown, right?
That was great. So I didn't know if there was there seems to be some dots that don't quite connect. Because if it was just a rumor, we've all lived with the Ralph Schumacher rumor, the driver most likely to go to Toyota is Ralph Schumacher, right? We lived with that rumor for 3 years before it happened, right? That's fine. We all live with that. So why do we have to talk about this now? Something was a miss.
Yeah, somebody let the horse out of the barn. I don't know what happened there, but what's the big deal? Why is it a big deal? Well, look, it's not gap filling. Let's be honest here. GP's role takes trackside operation off of Stella's plate. Yeah. So the team principal, he can focus on his strategic leadership, who Zach is always praising. That's more of a success play than it is a panic hire. This is not one of those. Right. Whereas the going to Aston Martin might be contributed as more of a panic hire than a success play. But
it's the biggest panic for Lawrence.
OMG. We've got to do something. Yeah. So, and McLaren, they now have Marshall. They got Courtney. They've got GP now. 3 of Red Bull's core operational pillars reassembled in Woking. From Red Bull's side, the departure list is now staggering. If you really think about it, Newey, Horner, Marco, Wheatley, Marshall, Courtney, Lambiase. I mean, Hannah Schmidt's, she next, right? That's the entire infrastructure that produced 4 consecutive titles.
That's all the names I know at Red Bull.
Yeah, right. Right.
I don't know any else.
Right. I mean, that's, and Helmut Marko, he said a significant loss. He said that, GP and Max are like an old married couple, and that's kind of a deal. I don't know. Wow. From a skeptic check, hey, the assumption really, you can make the assumption that McLaren's just hoarding Red Bull people, but that's not it. Each hire really does fill a defined complementary role, if you will, within the structure, and that that structure is already working. We've seen that. The real question is whether Red Bull's people produce the same results inside a different culture with different leadership dynamics. I mean, culture is kind of the variable here, Grace, right? Not necessarily the talent. This isn't a talent question.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, just for me, I feel very much like, speaking of Drive to Survive, the first season when Ricciardo was like, man, I don't want to be a Red Bull anymore. I want to be a Renault. That's how I feel, right? Like, I don't think I could live in that world, right? And I'm sure some of that has changed under Mecky's, but some of it hasn't. And much like Ferrari, right? Ferrari's Ferrari. Yeah. They have not changed. So, I think it would be a kinder, gentler place. And so, but some people want that kind of like, I'm going to say adversarial. That's not really the word I'm looking for. But they want that kind of pressure, right? Like some people really kind of need that. It's like being a procrastinator. Like some people really need to like wait until the last minute to do something because that's the only way the juices really go, right? And they can't really produce something creatively unless they're under a deadline. So I'm sure there are some people that prefer the sort of Red Bull ethos, but I don't know. I would think that McLaren would be a much more manageable situation.
So, Grace, do you think McLaren, since this is your team, do you think they're building the next dynasty or just assembling expensive parts and hoping they'll fit?
They already have the next dynasty, Todd.
Oh,
so
okay.
They don't have... Don't be so like... Okay, Grace, whatever you're smoking over there. Who has more championships right now? Not your team. Don't give me that.
Slow down on the Pinot.
Listen, don't be giving me that. When was the last time your team had a championship? That's right. I don't give me that.
Remember.
Don't start that. No, I mean, I think that... So, right, there's two reasons why you would hire a person, right? So one is because you need that person, right? Stella has too much on his plate, Adrian Newey has too much on his plate, you need a team principal, right? So you have, somebody needs something, some help, right? Or you need to divvy up the task differently because no matter how your org chart is set up, people handle things differently, Some people are like, I have 72 projects and none of them are ever finished. And some people are like, I will work on this one project till it finishes, right? So you kind of have to have a mix of personality types as well as talents in any sort of workflow.
Yeah.
And it could also be because if I have you, then nobody else has you, right? Which is sort of the like, I just collect all the best, which is sort of very much the Aston Martin strategy. Like, I'm just going to hire the best and somehow this is just going to work like magic. But nobody else will have them. So there's that. But I don't think that's it. I mean, I think that Zach is very thoughtful. He's been doing this for a long time. I don't know why he would just hire people that, just to fill his ranks or to make it look good. That doesn't matter in a year. If they don't have the championship, it doesn't matter how many people he stole from Red Bull, right? They have to have another championship.
Yeah. Yeah, do you think McLaren's poll tells us more about their upside, or does it say more about Red Bull's decline?
I mean, it's both, right?
Yeah.
I think it is a lot about Red Bull's decline. I mean, we've talked about this, I feel like, for the last 5 years or whatever, that, things at Red Bull are not right. I think that when Didi died, unexpectedly, he was just some glue between all of these people. And again, I think we've all worked with people that are like that are the peacemakers or the communicators or the like, you know what I mean? Like that person that's just like, Todd, are you doing all right? What about you, Paul? That just kind of like makes it all work. And when that person isn't there, that's a hard position to fill that you can't really you can't put in a LinkedIn ad for somebody that does that. That's just sort of somebody's nature. And he seemed to really have an enthusiasm for the people, enthusiasm for the sport. And it just sort of like fell apart with that. And then there was infighting. And I would think that would be distracting. I don't know how that couldn't be distracting. I mean, I think, again, Formula One is exactly like my job and nothing like my job. But we've all been in those places. It's hard when you have, instability in your upper management to just be like, well, I'm just this low-level person and I'm just going to keep doing my job. No, that messiness leaks into you can't. So I think it is more... Long story short, I think it's too late. It's more about Red Bull than McLaren, but it makes sense that if they're going to leave Red Bull, they're going to go to McLaren as opposed to going to Aston Martin or Alpine.
Yeah, it's a good point, Grace. I think when you think about major issues or incidents in Formula One and the knock-on effect that they may or may not have. So when we've talked about this before, but speaking of McLaren, we'll keep it in the McLaren camp, from the Spygate thing. Mm-hmm. That was a major blow to that team that took a few years to really manifest and unravel itself, and it unraveled that, started a boardroom war. Ron Dennis is jettisoned out. There was
a lot of instability.
Yeah, a lot of instability for Woking, and it just took time for that to manifest itself. But the damage you could see was just unraveling, the team unraveling in real time, slowly, And the point you make, I think, is spot on. I think we talked about it after Dietrich Mateschit's death. We talked about, what would that happen? I think even at the time I thought, okay, well, don't be surprised if there's some boardroom wars going on. Because
it's a big void.
Because that situation is between two owners, and now the son's there, and excuse me, and then you've got Austria, and you've got the Asian ownership, and there's going to be a real fight, not just for the Formula One team or who's doing what in Formula One. Christian had pretty much wrapped that whole operation around his axle, but for whatever reason, the Austrian side of this felt like, that needed to be dealt with. But they're also, just think about it, they're fighting for controlling interest of the overall Red Bull empire, period, full stop, not just the F1 team, right? So you could see this manifesting itself in the boardroom and all of this slowly unraveling, and I think it just takes time for the impact to actually reveal its full magnitude, and I think we're seeing that so much at Red Bull right now. I just think that's the unraveling that we're seeing. The question is, will they be able to turn that around? So, and we'll talk more about that when we get to Max, the segment with Max. But just depositing a cat there, I see.
Well, I was more concerned that I was going to end up spilling my wine, and that would have been terrible, right? That's
been
great.
Horrible.
We'd have to edit that out later, but on the show that does no editing, right? But no, I think that's true. And I think. Right, again, I think if you think of your own life, right, or anybody, I don't mean your life, but I think us as humans, right, I think that everything's easier when everybody has a job and is making enough money and the groceries are at a price we can afford and you can drive, you know what I mean? All it takes is one chink in that, daily routine that runs smoothly and everything just falls apart, because then it's all of a sudden, all the ugliness comes out. And so that it makes sense to me that, they just have... It kind of keeps cascading, and it's really hard to get ahead of that. And I think that it really won't be until they have sort of a Ron Dennis to Zach Brown, which again was not an overnight change, to be able to really change the momentum of that boulder just rolling down the hill of one bad thing, and it just feeds into you're just always waiting for the other shoe to drop, as opposed to when things are successful and money is flush and eggs aren't $7 a dozen, that you're able to just live and be happy, and it's a lot easier. So I think these growing pains are not going to be a quick turnaround. Yeah,
I agree. Okay, next up in the news is the FIA. We talked about it last week, this FIA crisis meeting that was set for April 9th, the big summit, the Camp David Accords.
Hopefully with better food, once again, than Camp David.
It's just hors d'oeuvres. Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres, indeed.
Yes. So what actually happened? Well, here's what's confirmed. The meeting did take place, Grace. It did take place.
It happened.
And here's all the things they decided. Yeah, they didn't decide anything. But they did release a statement and said that there was, quote, constructive dialogue.
That means nothing happened. That's great. Constructive we argued.
Yeah. And a, quote, commitment to making tweaks in the area of energy management, end quote.
Yeah, we ain't found nothing.
All right, am I feeling completely infused with hope after that? No, I'm not.
But to be fair, we weren't really infused with hope going into it, so why would we be coming out of it, right? It's not like we were this will solve everything.
That's true.
This is just the optics, the appearance of doing something when we're doing nothing.
Something about it. That's right. And all the while playing down that there's actually a real problem.
That's right. It's fine.
Because you don't want to say... Yeah, hey, look, we're just washing the sheets, yo. We like fresh, clean sheets without admitting that you crap the bed. And that's why you gotta wash your sheets.
That is right.
Yeah, so next steps. Well, the sporting regulations meeting is set for April 15th, followed up by the technical session on the April 16th with a high-level vote on April 20th. That is your due date for a, quote, high-level vote. Any changes, mind you, must be ratified by the World Motorsport Council before taking effect in Miami on May 3rd. And the FIA also said, quote, the events to date have provided exciting racing.
Yeah, we're not doing anything.
Yeah, framing tweaks is just a refinement rather than admitting a fundamental problem.
Yeah, we just wanted a different color of sheets.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that I don't even know how they vote. Like, how could you... Again, I don't know what your job's like, but just the stuff I work on, would I really expect this time? Like, no, this is nuts. This is not... Let alone the fact that there's 11 people involved that don't want to agree on anything, right? Like, right. I don't see how this is going to get anywhere, right?
I agree. Well, so what is new since last week when we covered super clipping energy management concepts on podcast 985? And we did talk about that last week, I know, and it seems like we're repeating. We're not, because there was action, but the language shifted from we are planning to review to we are committed to tweaks. So it's a little bit of a meaningful escalation from review to manage tweaks, committed to tweaks. Although I don't like the tweak talk.
I think they just got the magic 8 ball out, right? Back from the old...
Shake.
Yes, Team Barf one day.
Looking good.
Make some tweaks.
Doubtful. Shake. Make tweaks.
That's right. So they have borrowed the Team Barf one. Make our decisions via the magic 8 ball, and they're just like, well, yeah, that sounds good. We'll go with that. They just pick some different verbs.
Call Eddie. Okay.
Yeah. That's correct.
And fact is, Behrman's 50G Suzuka crash has made safety argument impossible to dismiss. You can't, people are going to shove the FIA's nose in that. You can't pummel your fan base with your justification for existence as safety, and then when we have a near disaster and a 50G crash, just say play it down. You can't. So you kind of crapped in your bed the first time.
Who are you,
right?
Ron Dennis? Oh, it's just the wind. It's not electrification. It's fine.
Yeah, so that confirmed the safety concern. It's not just an aesthetics complaint, right? So it is all about safety. So Sainz told the media that the drivers held a direct meeting with the FIA single-seater director, Lambiase, and Suzuka, where Lambiase said changes would be made for Miami. So, and, reminder, Verstappen called this anti-racing, and Leclerc called it a joke. In the same weekend. So the driver consensus is nearly unanimous, and I would say even a lot of the fans are revolting over this.
I think that you don't need... Again, I have no degrees in any sort of mechanical anything to understand that it's not great. The drivers aren't very happy with it. And the drivers can be, you know what I mean? You could force them to be in corporate, right? Like, so again, I stand by, this is what we see. Imagine what's happening back in the locker room that we don't see, right? This is the nice things they're saying about something they don't like. So I think that they've probably all had to, swallow their pride and be corporate for the sake of a driver, for the sake of a sponsor, so I think that they know how to do that, right, in this sport. And like other sports, you really have to be able to suck it up sometimes and really say things that maybe you don't support 100%, or find a way that you can sleep at night with a decision that was made that you have to live with. So to me, the fact that they're just like, we don't like this, and everybody can kind of see it, it's not necessarily great. We finally can see some things happening, and it's not great.
Yeah, agreed. I think if you're making the assumption that the April 20th vote's going to fix the problems, I think the counterpoint, fine folks over at the race, I think their reporting made a critical point that I think was worth remembering, that F1 can only treat symptoms, not the cause. And I think that's an important thing, because the 50-50 power split architecture was locked in years ago when they were designing this. So the teams are going to re-optimize around the new parameters, and we may just end up with a better disguised version of the same problem. It would be my hunch. I think that's ultimately what we're going to live with, and then over the winter, maybe they'll do some other tweaking, maybe allow some development. Remember last week we said, okay, well, if you were 50-50 and now you want 75 out of the engine, well, the engines weren't really designed for that much load. And does that usher in a reliability issue? What are we doing there? I'm not saying it would. I'm just asking. But those are legit concerns.
I mean, you always worry about downstream issues, right? So
yeah.
You can't make a programming change or something like that. You could have downstream issues that now it's worse, and now you can't fix it. So.
Yeah, I think in the end we're going to end up with better disguised version of the same problem. So is the FIA managing a crisis or managing perception, Grace?
Neither of those feel right, but I mean, a crisis seems a little, it's not a crisis. It's not great, but it's not a crisis, right? That's a little too British media for me, right? It's a little too hyperbolic. But I think it is more in that direction than, I think they just really thought people were just going to be like, okay, this is what we do now. And that's just not what you're hearing. And so I think they're trying to struggle with how to fix the optics of it, when this is something they always knew was going to be a problem.
Yeah. And we talked about it last week, and I still think it tracks. If tweaks land for Miami, are they safety fixes, spectacle fixes, or competitive equalization in sheep's clothing?
Well, it depends. If you're George Russell, they're going to be competitive equalizing in sheep's clothing. Yeah. If you are Alpine, it's going to be, these are just safety concerns. It's fine, right? Yeah,
Ferrari.
Red Bull.
Yeah, it's going to be, oh no, these are safety. Yeah, what are you, against safety, right?
Yeah, right. So
we talked about that last week, but no move
they
is
have to
done
do
in a vacuum.
No, and they have to do something, because that's the other thing too, is right, they are they've done it to themselves, but they are stuck in a hard place, which is they can't do nothing, but they can't do too much either, right? Because again, you can't just, all right, we're going to take these 3 weeks and you're all going to have to rebuild everything, and Mercedes, you're going to have to make a new engine for you and the other teams, and good luck, we'll see you in Miami in May. That's not going to happen. So how do you do something when there's not much you can probably do? Even if everybody agreed, there's probably not much you can really do. And
realize you're operating under a cost cap. So
right.
It's not like you can just say, well, let's just engineer our way out of this. That ain't going to work. I don't know. There's a lot of complication around this. They're all in on this format. And I'm just surprised we got here. I think it is a gross misread of the fan base, and anyone will tell you in product management and those kind of things is, you do your due diligence in a lot of voice of customer work, a ton of voice of customer work, and what were they reading? The motorsport.com surveys where people are like, yeah, more pathing. Yeah, this is great. Oh, yes. Hybrid. Yeah. Is that what you're reading? Because I just feel like this has completely missed the target.
And it has to be, I would say it's probably harder in motorsports because I don't know anything about cars. Or you can ask me what would make baseball better? And I've played softball, right? I have some construct of what it takes to make baseball better, right? Beer cheaper, game shorter. I don't know. Better food options, right? You know what I mean? I could maybe fix baseball. I don't know how to make the cars better. I'm not a mechanical engineer. I think there's just, I don't know how, if my answer was, what do I want more overtaking? I don't know how you accomplish that. but I do know how you accomplish shorter baseball games, right? Like, I do know how, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's part of it too, is I think it really is hard to kind of, you have to be prepared for what the customer tells you is often or can be wrong, right? They don't actually know how to tell you what they want. They can't verbalize that because they don't make refrigerators for a living, right? So they can't tell you. They just want things to be colder faster, but they can't really tell you how to make that happen. They don't make refrigerators, right?
Yeah. I feel like, I guess the big question here is if they were listening to someone, a customer base, which customer base? Were they listening to fans or were they listening to manufacturers? Oh,
they were listening to manufacturers because that's, that's who ultimately butters that bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think that, and I think the other thing too is that these things have trade-offs, right? So maybe I want more overtaking, fewer truly trains, more overtaking. That seems very reasonable, right? Like, isn't that what we all want for motorsports? And but I don't know at what cost, and I can't. Maybe, Paul could maybe, has more of a way of saying, well, you could do that, but here's what you would lose, right?
Right.
I don't know what I'm selling, what I'm giving up in order to get fewer truly trains and more overtaking.
Yeah.
Maybe it's driver safety. Well, then that's not a trade-off that I want to make. Maybe they need, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's a hard question to ask people because they really can't verbalize what they want beyond surface level, more passing, less trains. And I don't know how to decide what those trade-offs are. I don't know what gets you that. I don't know what gets you more passing on the track in Formula 1.
Well, it's apparently these regulations. You've saved us, Boo. Yes, but at what cost? Sorry, it's a money on reference.
Only if you're Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton, right? Like, that's not what I wanted, right? But that's what I mean. Like, so you could, like, the first race, they're like, we had 196 passes versus 40 we had last season. I'm like, right, that's missing the point. You're right. Yeah. I did say I wanted more overtaking, but not like this, right?
Legit.
Like, so there's some more to it than just the sheer volume of it, right? So I think that it would be foolish to, but I highly doubt that. Similar to last week, I can't imagine that nobody thought that we were going to be in this position. I believe that I didn't know we'd be in this position, but the people that work at the FIA, there are people there that knew we would be here, and they voiced it, and it got overruled. And so it would be the same thing. If somebody really voiced and said, well, people don't really know what they do, but they don't know the detail. They can't really verbalize the detail of what they want.
Well, the manufacturers did.
Overtaking.
For sure. The manufacturers know what they wanted.
Yeah, they wanted electric.
Hybrid. Yeah, 50-50 and organic fuels or synthetic fuel. And
right.
Those kind of things. And that's great. That's what we got. But at the end of the day, I think what will end up is we'll have enough tweaks to mask the problem as much as they can. Well, we'll allow 2 more megajoules or another megajoule during that, and during qualifying we're not going to have that, and so we're going to change the LICO and not have that harvesting quite that way, and they're just going to tweak it. And look, I don't know, I guess, I don't have to be negative about that. Let's say they really do their homework, they measure twice, they cut once, they come in and they come in with 20 different things and adjustments that they're going to make to the software, to the way the energy is harvested, the way it's deployed. We're not going to have softwares controlling both the driver and the car. Maybe they'll fix it and it'll deliver better racing. I don't know. That's fingers crossed.
I think, to me, having been an F1 fan for a long time, and then Flip, who's a much more recent Formula 1 fan, after watching Abu Dhabi 2021, sorry for bringing up that trauma for everybody, but to me, the results of that race, I went, it's Formula 1. And he was like, what is this? That's some of this too, right? Like, to me, I'm like, it's new rules. It always takes a little adjustment. It'll settle down. Don't get too excited. But if you're newer to it, maybe you're not used to that, and maybe I shouldn't be either, which is what I took out of 80-21. Is that why did I just accept that this is how my sport operates? That's not okay, right? But some of it is when you attract new fans. This is the first rule change they've ever been through.
Right.
It's pretty. It's a pretty big rule change as far as the cars operate, and so they're a little more up in arms. Whereas I think I'm more like, people, let's get to Europe. Let's see when we get to Spain. Let's see what we have. I mean, having this break in the middle is probably the worst thing for them because who knows what Bahrain and Saudi Arabia would have done. But now we just have 3 races and we're just sitting around. So, of course, we're just filling in that space with content.
Right.
And people are just like, this is terrible, right? Like, they have 5 weeks to tell us how terrible it is, right?
Right,
and,
right.
So that's going to be hard to manage.
2014 was a pretty major impact, you know? I wasn't too happy about that. You came out with 2014, yeah, we're going to go hybrid, yay, this is great. This is what all the manufacturers want, and this is great. It's totally road relevant. It'll be a lot of fun to have all that. And it's like, okay. And the engines are going to be V6 turbos. They're going to be a lot of fun. It came out, and the cars are like, they were flatulent, and they sounded terrible, and all of a sudden Mercedes has a second or a second and a half, a lap over everyone and dominate for 8 years. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, come on, man. How many seasons we had to say, all right, is it going to be Lewis or Nico this year? Okay, then the next year. Is it going to be Lewis or Nico? And then the next year. Is it going to be Lewis or Nico? Oh, it's Nico. It's like, I mean, we're basically watching the Mercedes, championship to figure out which driver's going to win, right? Everybody else was an also ran. Yeah. And that was mind-numbing. So if you didn't live through that, you're lucky.
I think it's both new to people and they have the ways of being mad about it out loud.
Yeah.
Right? In 2014, right, we didn't have, we had social media, but not like now, and certainly not in the early 2000s, right? Like, I was just a man yelling at the clouds, right? I was yelling at Bob Varsha on TV, right? Like, I didn't have a way of, like, sending this out into the world the way it's very easy now to be like, wow, this is terrible, right? And everybody gets to hear how terrible it is, right? So... I think that's also not what Domenicali, I think, was aiming for.
No, probably not.
This is not what he was hoping for.
Speaking of what not to aim for, Red Bull's technical crisis and the Wache question. So, what's confirmed? Well, multiple outlets I've read report that technical director Pierre Wache is under serious internal pressure. The RB22s reportedly, I was reading some comments that it was actually overweight, like as much as 12 kilograms, costing roughly 4/10 per lap on its own.
That's
Sounds
like
3
a
Yukis.
Williams
Issue. It is like 3 Yukis. You talk about aero points and you talk about Yuki points. Is that 3 Yukis or 4 Yukis?
I don't know. It's a lot.
80% of the deficit to Mercedes attributed to the chassis, not the power unit. That's something else I was reading. So the upgrades brought to Suzuka made the car slower, not faster. That's a problem. Correlation between wind tunnel simulator and track is reportedly maybe not on song. And head designer Craig Skinner left before the season after repeated clashes with Wache, or at least that's the rumor anyway. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the boardroom. And then,
That's never stopped us.
That's tough, but Mekis admitted that prioritizing 2025 title fight impacted where they started with the 2026 car. Don't know if I'm buying that 100%. That's always been a traditional argument in the past, that when you continue to have a title fight all the way to the end of the season, that all your money and development is still there, and so it really does limit the following car. And I think that's not an anecdotal tale. I think we've actually seen that play out in Formula One. I don't want to summarily discount him, but maybe that's part of it. But why does all that matter? Well, it's the first. This year's car is the first car fully designed without Newey's framework. The results suggest that Red Bull's technical department was executing Newey's vision rather than generating its own. Right.
So now it's all on them.
Yeah, so is there a broken correlation loop? Is it a foundational problem? Well, if your development tools are not telling the truth, more parts just to produce more wrong answers faster isn't really a great idea at that point. Miami's framed as a make or break for Wash 8. At least that's what the scuttlebutt is on the socials. But even if the upgrade delivers gains, I think the structural issues are probably still there that they've got to fight through in the balance of the season, which is going to make it difficult. Hence, the FIA April 20th thing would be a very compelling way to slip in your strategic gains that you want as a competitive equalizer. Same for Ferrari, right? And you have to know that Red Bull's going to push for stuff in those proposed tweaks to benefit them and hobble Mercedes. They will do that. If they didn't do that, I'd be very disappointed in them.
Yeah, they're not doing their job.
Right. So I don't know. The assumption that, hey, but calm down, man. Red Bull always bounces back. They turned 2025 around. And I would say in 2025, they still had Newey's DNA in the car and most of their senior staff. In 26, they have neither, right?
No, it's all just bleeding out everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this isn't in the situation that Washay thought he'd find himself in either.
Yeah, I'm sure. And the playbook that produced the comeback doesn't exist anymore, right, Chris?
Nope.
So I guess the questions I have for you, Grace, is this: is Washay the problem, or is he the symptom of a team that was always a one-man show dressed up as an organization behind Newey?
Well, I definitely think he's going to be the fall guy. I mean, wherever either that side fits, right? Is he the Chris Bangle of Red Bull? I mean, I think it would be hard to place it all on him. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
it's not like if McLaren suddenly had a car issue, knock on wood. That would be different. As a very stable organization at this point, and you have a problem. This is a lot of chaos, but it may not be Washay's fault, but he's the one that's going to get blamed. So he's also the one that has to kind of figure out how to make this pan out and work so that he doesn't end up losing a job. But I think it's a lot. I think there's a lot of things. I mean, for sure, Adrian Newey's DNA not being there anymore is a big change. And then you have all these people leaving and all the upset, not unrest, right? They're not revolting as far as we know at Red Bull, but there's just a lot going on there this isn't gonna help them.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think, and who do you even hire to fix the issue, right? The best aero and technical people are locked into long-term deals elsewhere. Yeah. I mean, the talent market's kind of frozen, isn't it? It's
just like the drivers, though, right? Like, there's only, there's only so many people who can do this job, right? There are only so many. So there's probably more people that can do this job that could be a race car driver, but not as many as could be, survey statisticians like myself, right? That's a much bigger pool. So I think that's part of the problem too. Is much like we're like, oh, Pierre Gasly, but where's he going to go? Or like, Oscar's mad because McLaren's treating him like second fiddle. Well, where else is he going to go? So you've got to figure out how to make this work, because Oscar, you're not going to be able to go somewhere else that's going to be not, not Haas or something, right? So they have to figure out how to make it work. He has a contract. He's there. He's not going somewhere else, and I don't know who you're backfilling him with. So,
yeah, we've talked about this many times in the past about Flavio just saying you go hire the genius. And I was thinking, does Red Bull prove that buy the genius model is fundamentally fragile compared to build the system model that maybe Mercedes does, although McLaren seems to be buying the genius now and bringing it over. But to be fair, though, Red Bull did poach a lot of talent for their engine. But meanwhile, while they're focused on that, their chassis and race ops just got gutted, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, very, very tough situation for that team. I'll be surprised, how long it will take them to right the ship here. I think on the surface of it, GP leaving, we can say, well, you have to get a new race engineer and all that. If you really think about all the people that have left, I read the list. That's just a lot of real brain power at the head of that team.
Yeah, and
how they recover from that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and pretty soon, mid-pack Max is also going to go somewhere else too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, that's a real crisis they got going there, because whereas usually you have the drivers who are like, no, they're committed till the day they're not committed, but Max is already like, I'm not committed to this, and we're not even at the day he's not committed. So
I know. Well, speaking of that, was the next segment. Is he at a crossroads? So, he told the BBC, you remember, after Japan, he seriously considered walking away. We talked about that last week. He said, the way you have to drive is anti-driving. We talked about that. ESPN's, suggested that he leans towards a sabbatical rather than full retirement. But I was going through this. He previously said, when GP stops, I stop too, talking about Lambiase. And now he stopped, or he is stopping, right? We talked about this last week, and so it's clear the people that were sending me DMs and messages were not Max Verstappen fans at all, and I get it. And they were very mad at me for insinuating, but I'll double down on that. I think there is genuine frustration. He's not faking it. He said the same things in 2023 before the regulations launched, when Leclerc, Alonso, Norris, and Sainz all agree the formula is broken. This is not one driver being difficult. These are top drivers just being truthful. Is it a leverage play? His management certainly understands F1 economics, and he's the most marketable active driver. Threatening to leave puts a lot of pressure on the FIA and Red Bull, and on rival teams, if I'm honest. The timing right before the April meetings, I think that's relatively strategic too. And he's got 4 championships, 71 wins, a young family now, GT racing he genuinely loves. The math of 22 weekends in a car he hates driving for a team in decline, well, that's different from when he was winning everything, right? A lot different.
And, I think that it's easy for us to forget how I find these long season taxing, and I don't leave my house. I don't know how they, are able to do all the work that they have to do during the week, right? Because it isn't just like I show up on Sunday and I drive the car and then I fly back to Monaco, right? They're traveling for all this time, and they have to, maintain their fitness, et cetera, et cetera. I do think the wear is very high, and if you aren't enjoying it and you have the luxury to not do it anymore, do it. Why would you stay?
Yeah.
I think for what? Like you're Kimi Räikkönen, right? I think that's 100%. I mean, whether you like him or not, I think that if you think about it, it's the same way with Nico Rosberg when he retired after winning his championship. Everyone's like, why did he retire? I'm like, because he's done, right? He's been doing this since he was 4, right? If you were told you could be done doing your job, wouldn't you be done doing your job? And I really like my job and the people I work with, but I'd be done if I won the lottery, right? I don't like it that much. So I think if you have the means to not do something that makes you unhappy, you should stop doing it and do something that makes you happy.
Yeah, and I think that's a point. You might be, the assumption could be, well, he's just bluffing, that kind of thing. But I think the exit
to be gained, right?
Well, I think the exit clause plus GP leaving, Red Bull's decline, the regulation, hatred, it creates a scenario where there's no single reason is enough to leave, but the sum of them absolutely could be. Rosberg, as you mentioned, left after winning the title. Prost left in his prime. All right.
Done with this.
So I don't think they're empty threats, but does F1 have a Verstappen problem, or does Verstappen have an F1 problem? And if the sport's best driver does not want to drive the cars, who are the regulations serving?
Yeah, I think that he. They'd have to have. I don't think there's anything you can say. I think at this point there's nothing that, Domenicali, it's not like he can put his arm around him and go, look, my friend, here's just we're doing this thing and stick with it. Verstappen isn't that guy. I'm not a Verstappen fan, but I totally get that, and maybe I'm tired of hearing about it, but that doesn't mean it's not valid. I've worked with people who I don't particularly like. That happens when you work with a team of 20 people or whatever. It's a matter of time. But so I would always have to think, is it because that person said it that I don't like it? Like, what if Todd had come up with that suggestion? I like Todd, right? Oh, okay. So if Todd had said that, I would have liked it. So sometimes I have to think through that filter so that I don't get distracted by that person said it. You may not like Max, you may not like his style, you may not like his straightforwardness, but what he's saying is valid. If it came out of Lewis's mouth or Lando's mouth or whoever it is that Pierre Gasly's mouth, how would you feel about this statement? And not just coming out of Max Verstappen. And that's what you have to ask yourself. And I think that what he's saying is truthful. I think that you hear it from the other drivers in their own own way. They're not just going to say, they're not going to be as blunt about it. But he's Dutch. That's his way, his culture. That's how his dad is. I mean, nobody should be surprised by that. So I think that it hurts Formula One that Max Verstappen is out here dogging them. But that is also why people like him. And, you can't just only like him only on the good days, right? You have to like him all the time.
Right. I was thinking if he triggered that clause, who would sign him? Mercedes has the car, but does Wolff break up the Antonelli and Russell?
He's going to get, wow. He's not getting rid of Antonelli.
I'm very curious. I would love to know, and if anyone out there knows it, and I just missed it, I would love to know what they re-signed George on. Was it a 1-year deal or a multi-year? I
1+.
feel like it was implied it was more than one, but I don't remember.
I don't know, but I just think every time I see Toto Wolff with Kimi Antonelli, I always think it's just like Jack who, right? Like,
I know.
That dude should be salty about all of this. Like, I'm your son. Whatever, dude. We're done with you. Whatever. This is my son now.
Yeah, totally. I think they would they'd dump George in a heartbeat for Max. So I could see that happening.
But I could see, and I wonder. But I don't know that Max isn't corporate. I mean, I think that would be a personality change that they would have to deal with.
No, it's true. I'm curious if you think about the whole Mercedes vibe. It's not a Max vibe,
Nope.
I could see Max at McLaren easier than I could see him at Mercedes, or I could see him at a different team with a different vibe. I don't think
it would work at Mercedes. Mercedes is a very George from a PR perspective. George is great. He fits the Mercedes model perfectly, right? Very corporate, stays on message, says the lines, right? It's just who George is, and that fits. I just don't see how a Max Verstappen would fit in a Mercedes, but I'm sure they would figure out a way to make that square peg fit into a round hole if that opportunity was provided to them. They'd figure it out. They'd have to.
Right. Well, he's going to occupy himself. But hey, another big news. F1 goes to GT racing during the break. That's what's going on. Lance Stroll. It is a different category. It's called GT racing, Lance. And he actually
was
effusive.
I was like, well, who's this guy?
I was like, who are you?
Go to GT racing now. I mean, clearly you are not living a great life in Formula One, and that is fine.
He lit up like a 100-watt light bulb, didn't he?
He was do something that makes you happy, man. Yeah,
it's like somebody back there just pulling the string. Yeah, this is great. It's like, holy cow. This is the guy that gives monosyllabic answers in interviews in Formula One, and now he's over there just rattling off like one of the automatons at Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, my gosh, he's going crazy.
I think that...
Who knew?
So, I mean, to me, it was just as much as I think, Max, look, if you're not happy and you can leave, you should leave, because that's what everybody should do. Don't continue to bang your head against the wall. Well, it's not going to change, right? So I think the same thing for Lance, man. Look at this. Go do this.
Just
stop doing Formula One. Just do. You don't need the
decision.
You also don't need the money. Go GT racing.
Clearly. He said the decision was made over dinner at Suzuka and organized a week. Said the Aston Martin's difficult start influenced his decision and compared GT3 favorably, saying there's fewer media duties, more time in the garage, just driving and enjoying it.
It's the
so
dream.
There you have that. Meanwhile, Verstappen's at Paul Ricard, and as the team principal of Verstappen Racing, his crew finished eighth, something like that. And so there was that, and then Max himself races the Nürburgring 24.
That's right.
In May. So why does it actually matter? Well, I get to thinking about it.
Okay.
When an F1 driver says he enjoys driving GT3 more because he gets to actually drive and work with engineers, that's kind of a product problem for F1.
Yeah. I mean, it's not untrue, right? Like, of course, because anytime you go into, like, Formula One is the most people over the pit wall, right? Like, there's 20 people over that pit wall working on your car. Well, you're not going to have as much, like, FaceTime and interaction as you will at something like GT, where there's 4 people that go over the pit wall, right? Like, it's just a smaller operation, and there's fewer people there, and you of course that's going to be easier, and you can just focus on things because you don't have to do all the circus stuff that you do with Formula One. GT doesn't have a circus like that. That would be great. That would be refreshing. I agree. No,
it's kind of an issue. Excuse me. I think. Also, Verstappen's not dabbling in this. He's building a racing identity outside.
Oh no,
of
he's
F1.
doing it. It's like Lewis, right?
He loves
is thinking about what he's going to be doing next. And being able to race sims makes it accessible in a way that, 20 years ago you wouldn't have been able to. You could only be in a physical car. Well, now that you have the ability to learn a track, get experience, and not have to be physically at Paul Ricard to do all that. I think that, why would you race what you want? Life is too short, whether you're Max Verstappen or you're me and Todd. Life is too short. If you can do something that brings you joy, do it, right? Like, what are you waiting for? Whatever that is.
What Grace is saying is YOLO.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Like, I mean, life is short, my friends. Do what you can, right? YOLO. That's Max. That's what he should paint that on the side of the Red Bull, right?
YOLO.
Like, but same thing for Lance. Like, you actually seem to enjoy yourself. What are you doing in Formula One? Go do something where you can enjoy yourself.
Well, people may say, hey, this is just drivers filling time during a spring break. But filling time is going on holiday, not entering a 6-hour endurance race with a week of prep and, that's a statement. These drivers chose racing over rest because the F1 product is not giving them what they want or need. Filling
time is learning how to crochet. Not preparing to race the 24 hours of the Nürburgring, right? So,
Yeah. I don't know if F1's losing enthusiasm of its own participants. I don't know.
But this
what does that do on track product in the long term? I don't know, but that's a real problem.
But this is going to be great. This is great for other forms of racing, I think that's always the thing.
That's what I said to Paul. That's a great point, Grace. I said this on one of the podcasts with Paul. Man, if I was IMSA right now or I was WEC right now, I would be taking advantage. I'd be marketing the hell out of these series right now because F1 got itself wrapped around its own axle and looks ridiculous right now. And I would say I would go after it. IndyCar's tried a little bit. They've done a little bit. Kudos to them. But I would say if you're IMSA, since Max is showing IMSA or WEC and GT racing, and he has interest in it, I would be capitalizing on that. When Max chooses to go GT racing instead of F1, and I'd be marketing the hell out of it at the detriment and the expense of Formula One if I was those series.
Yeah, and I think that it helps. Right? Like I never really watched endurance racing. That wasn't really my jam. But I'll watch Paul and his team, and so it's like, oh yeah, it's great. It's like, oh yeah, Kubica, I know that guy, or Button, oh yeah, I know that guy, right? Like it helps, right? That you can at least know who a couple of the people are because they're former Formula One drivers. So yeah, why wouldn't you, right? Like come see what Lance likes, come see what Max likes, get Valentino Rossi, come check this thing out, right?
Yeah, just realize It's a different category.
It is, right? And then you could really open up, because I think that endurance racing is again, it's a different kind of beer, right? It's a different thing. You really have to think about it differently than Formula One, but it's fun for us too, right? Work those neurons, learn a new form of racing, and you will enjoy it. So
I like it.
You just need a reason.
You know what time it is? It's time for Albon's Cats. Has nothing to do with Formula One, but neither does Alex Albon's Cats, and we talk about them a lot, don't we? Yeah, we do. Yep. All right, Grace, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to start out with 2 plugs for 2 different podcasts that I listened to this week that, for 2 different reasons, well, I guess I watched them both as videos, but anyway, one is, so Williams, right, just like all of them do like little on videos where they usually have the drivers, right? They usually have Carlos and Alex chatting with each other. But I guess in Japan, they were busy. So they put in Damon Hill and JV. Like these, did you watch this? I think for people who don't have a history with either of these 2 drivers, but especially with Damon Hill, there's just his ability, his inability to be like, he's definitely is like, I hate this thing. I hate you. I hate that you asked me this question. I hate that I have to do this thing. Right? I love that it was just such a great, those 2 personalities together and just rubbing against each other.
Because one was a champ and the other one ended the champ's career.
Yes.
JP ended his career.
And then
Damon spent the rest of his career saying that his arch rival was Schumacher, putting him on Schumacher's plane, which he wasn't.
No, and
JV ended his career.
I just love, they spent so much time talking about how we're really friends now.
Yeah,
Damon Hill, you are not a good actor, my friend. Please. No. Just like Toto Wolff telling jokes. You're not good at telling jokes. Don't tell jokes. Right. I'm sure Susie's told you, don't tell jokes. Not your strength. Yeah. Listen, acting not your strength, Damon Hill. We love you for that. So but what I would imagine is that afterwards, JV would be like, "Yeah, man, this is great," and like go in for the handshake or the bro hug, and Damon Hill just kept on walking.
Here's a fist pump.
Yeah, I don't want any of this. Please don't ever touch me again. So I love that sort of like awkward interaction the 2 of them had. It was great. And I couldn't get over JV's glasses. I'm like, I don't know. They're like giant glasses from the 80s. I'm like, I don't think that's fashion anymore. Or I don't know if that's come back around, but I couldn't get past it. I'm pretty sure like my grandma had those glasses in the 80s, right? So I don't know, JV, who advised you for this fashion choice, but I don't know. Cool, but there was that. And then I also listened to the Formula One Beyond the Grid, which Tom hosts, and they had Komatsu. I think it's the most recent one, but anyway, they had Io Komatsu, which was really interesting, right? Kind of, his take on Haas and sort of like how he's, bridged that. But anyway, he tells a story about Gene Haas that I thought was really funny, that he's like, nobody really knows Gene, right? He like shows the track. He's very quiet, very introverted, doesn't really get out there. So he's like, so I got him in a car. I took him to Goodwood and I made him drive the car, and he loved it. And he was so excited. You can just see him beaming, and he's out there and he's signing autographs, and I was like, look at you, Komatsu. You're a genius. You're a genius, right?
Awesome.
Like, that's exactly what you would do with any sponsor. You want to get them engaged.
Yeah.
Because
keep the money coming.
Exactly, because when you go to him next week for more money to fix the team, he's going to want to do it, right? Because he's so happy, he's so invested in this. It was great. I just loved that Komatsu was just like, I just had to get Gene in the car, and he loved it, and now he loves everything about this. So.
See, that's what Mike Crack should have done with Lawrence Stroll. He should have done the thing like out of Ford versus Ferrari, where he gets Mr. Ford in the GT and says, "You ready?" And he goes and drives him around. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Keep that money coming, Lawrence.
That's right. So I thought that was it was just a really fun story.
That's good.
I did also. I know we made it almost over an hour now of the show before I brought up MotoGP, but I did want to mention, we were talking earlier about, inabilities to pronounce people's names correctly, and that, so Toprak Rastakaslu, which I totally mangled, please do not do not. But anyway, I love that in MotoGP, right, they always use the first initial and then 3 initials,
Yeah.
as opposed to Formula 1 just uses, your first initial
Right.
and then 2 from your last name, unless you're a Schumacher. And so he's T-Raz. I love that he's T-Raz. That's almost as good as
T-Raz.
F-Bag. Good, my boy T-Raz. He's not
Yeah.
having a good season. Nobody expected that he would, but I do love T-Raz and Jack Miller together. Like, those two should just do all the unboxed videos for MotoGP. But yeah, watch out for my boy T-Raz. He's pretty great.
T-Raz.
And they gave him, and I was just like, that's the best name for that personality ever. So, I don't
It is
know.
good.
Keep
like
on
it.
it. But yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for this podcast. You let us know what you think about GP moving. You let us know what you think about Max. Is he bluffing? Let us know what you think. And let us know what you think the FIA should do. Are we just going to mask an issue and tweak it to where we disguise it? Or are they going to really fix it? You can tell us that by going to thepartfrommay.com. Share your opinion with decorum and civility. As always, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters, because we could not and would not do this podcast without you. As a matter of fact, you can listen to this whole podcast or watch this whole podcast on our Patreon page with no commercials if you're a Patreon supporter.
That's
So
right.
if you don't like the commercials, hey, there's a solution. Be a Patreon supporter. That would be awesome. And if you like this podcast, go give us a good rating on your favorite player. If you watch this podcast, hit the bell, the like, you know what to do. It's all free. It doesn't cost you anything. You just got to move your mouse just a little bit, hit the like, and hit the subscribe and the bell. 3 things. That's all you got to do. You can share it if you want. It really doesn't cost you anything to do.
That would be 3 things.
That would be, okay, fine. But that would be nice. 3 nice things would be nice.
It would be 3 very nice things, right?
Yeah, I thought so. So anyway, all right. Well, that does it for this week. But we will be back next week, and we will do it all over again. We'll see what kind of news we have next week, and we'll do it all over again. So until that time, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camber, saying so long, Grace.
See you next week.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. I don't feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.